Welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we're going to explore this complete pattern, and this is called the felted sunflower, and this is crocheted but then felted. It is absolutely phenomenal. You saw it on the model's lapel, and basically the flower as you see it is the same pattern. The leaves, there's only 2 called for in her particular pin, but I did 6. I figured, you know, why not make a few more, because I'm thinking like an autumn wreath. I'm thinking something really kind of fun and fabulous. So there's actually 4 different components to what we're working on with this particular item. So we're going to be working on the front piece here. This is separate. These 2, the leaves here, are all one component. You have the back component right here and then the leaves, and so essentially you're going to make all of these, you're going to felt them and then sew them together to make it work. So this tutorial today you're going to need a size L crochet hook. It is big. It's an 8mm for those that use metric, and felting requires your stitches to be loose so that you can have the gorgeous look that you see. I really do see this for a fabulous wreath. So without further ado, let's get started on this tutorial, and you'll be amazed at how well it transforms from just regular crochet to felted as we go along. So let's take a closer look at the sunflower pin, but this is prior to felting. This is what it will look like before you put your project through the felting process. So if you like this look, this is great. Now I haven't done the centerpiece. I have the tutorial to make for that yet, and then there's also a back piece that goes on the back, just like you see here. But what we need to do with this particular project is that we need to create all the components first. So this is one component, so everything's working together. We need to create the front and then the back, so then there's 4 components, and the pattern only requires 2 leaves. But you know what, I thought to myself, I'm gonna go through the effort of felting anyway, so why not make extra leaves just in case when I decide to do it that I want to have more. It's better to have, you know, not have, I guess, crocheters remorse. I'm not doing enough. So this is one of those items that if you really do want to push your limits, you know, why not make a few extra. These only take a couple minutes really each, and so I'm gonna have a total of 6 of them, and you know, after I'm done the felting process, if I don't need them then that's great, but if I want to use them I have that option available to me. So without further ado, let's start going through some of the components and teaching you how this works. So today I'm going to be using a size L or an 8mm crochet hook today. It's a lot bigger than this yarn. This is a 4-ply, and this is a regular standard 100% wool. It needs to be 100% wool in order to activate it through the process of felting. If you use regular acrylic or anything that is not 100% wool, your project that I've already shown you in the forefront, when you go to felt it, it'll still look like this when you're done because it'll hold its shape. You want it to basically blow apart and then come back together as felting. So let's begin to do a slip knot just like so, and you can see that this hook is way too big for this yarn, but that's the whole point. The looser the stitches in felting, the better that they felt together. Just always remember that. So without further ado, let's begin the first process. We're going to chain 2. Remember that this does not count as 1, so 1 and 2, and we're going to put 6 single crochets into the first chain that we started with to create the center of the circle. Now because the yarn is way too big for this hook, this is 2, is that it feels a little awkward if you're a regular crocheter, so you just have to bear with it and just you know, give yourself a little bit of patience and just, you know, work itself out. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6. Now the inside of the petal area that we're doing right now is basically what you can see here. Okay, so the inside that sits on top of this is not yet been done. So even though it has a little bit of gapping and stuff, this is gonna felt and pull in anyway, but if you have these excessive gaps at this point, don't worry about it because it is gonna get hidden. When you get to the beginning again, so you have your 6 single crochet in, you're just going to slip stitch to the beginning to form the ring. Like that. And now we're ready for the next layer. Okay, this pin does not operate in a continuous revolution. That means that we have to slip stitch every time we get around. So we're going to chain 1 first, and then in the first stitch that we're going to do, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We want to make sure that we put 2 single crochets into each one of them going all the way around. So you're gonna notice that wool or this kind of yarn is unusual. You may notice that the plies are separating a little bit. That's fine. That's exactly what you want when felting, because what happens in the felting process is that the fibers all blow apart in the extreme heat of the felting process, and then what happens is it just like all the fibers kind of unlatch from each other, and then when the cold water hits it, then the fibers all kind of grab on, but grab on differently to create what we know as felting. So it's a really great process. It's almost addictive if you really truly ask me about it. So what we have here is going around. Now if you're off by a stitch or two, I don't think it matters much on this particular project, because it just means that you'll end up with more leaves or more petals of your sunflower or whatever flower you're trying to make. Once you get all the way around, you're just going to slip stitch to the beginning, and then that'll conclude it off. So this is one of those really forgiving kind of projects. I'm gonna trim the inside so it's gone for the next part of this tutorial, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're about to start the next round, round number 3. We're going to chain 1 first, and then the next one, the first one that we run into, is going to be 2 single crochet into the same one, and then the next one is going to be 1 single crochet by itself into the next. Okay, so that's the repeat pattern. So you're gonna, so one stitch is gonna have 2 single crochets, and the next one will be 1 by itself. Please do that all the way around. We'll be back up in just a moment. I'm coming up all the way around, and you know you've played your cards right when the final stitch in this round is just the 1 by itself. Okay, so that just is an easy way to remember. Again, if you're off, this is one of those patterns where it really doesn't matter, because it just means that you'll end up with probably an extra petal or 1 short, depending on how much you're off. So now we're ready to start doing the petals. The petals are extremely easy, and watch how it's done. To begin our petals, we need to look at the front and the back loops. Okay, so with the petals that we're about to do now, we're only going to work with the front loops. So you see that there's 2 strings. The one that's closest to you is considered the front loop. Let's insert our hook into the front loop only. Okay, so I'm not wrapping the yarn, I'm just inserting, and I'm just gonna grab the yarn and pull through and through. I've just now slip stitched to the first one, so now that I'm ready to go. On the next round that we're gonna do, we're gonna play on these back loops that we're leaving empty right now, so we need to make sure that we're only going on the front loops for this one. So what we need to do is that we just simply need to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, like so. And now we're going to play on the back hump, okay, the back loop. So just turn it over and you see that there's a back loop. It's 1 string, and we're just going to single crochet ourselves all the way back down this chain. Now getting used to this process is a little bit difficult, but it's well worth the time. And you can go in the back loop and then single crochet. Again, for me, it's because you're using a larger hook than the yarn is using. It gets a little bit more tougher, but this larger hook is making sure that it creates those extra spaces so that it can really felt really well. So there is a method to the madness. So I'm just single crocheting all the way back down. Okay, just grabbing onto one of the loops in the back only, and then once I have all the way down, I'm gonna come to the very next one in a row. We've got to make sure that this is not turned around backwards. Okay, I saw that it was backwards. This is the wrong side, so I can see that this is the right side, and I know that from experience. And so basically I want to go to the next loop, the front loop only, and then I just want to slip stitch. So just pull through and through like that. So then I want to repeat again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then come down again. So you're going to do that all the way around on this particular revolution. It's pretty well easy. It's just a matter of putting in the time, and this really is it's really quite amazing. I really love it. And let me just get all the way down to the bottom. Once you get established and you start knowing which way is right side and wrong side on this revolution, you'll notice that it's going to be turned properly for you by the time you get back down. So if that's bothering you at this time, there is a method to the madness. So when we get back down, we just come to the next stitch, front loop only, slip it. And please do that all the way around for the remainder of the stitches, and I'll meet you back up on the last one where we'll change the game plan slightly. Now Now I've come all the way back around and I'm ready now to move to the next level. So here's what we have. So I've got my last one popping out, and this time when I go to slip stitch, I want to slip stitch to the back loop. So I want to turn it around and I want to come in from the back loop. If you don't see a back loop, make one up. You know, I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying that, but no, seriously, if the first one is always the very most hardest to find. Once you get that first one out, it's good. And what you want to just do is just single crochet, just like this. Okay, so when I did this one here, you can see it's 2 layers. What I did is I changed the color once I slip stitched in, and then this whole layer that I'm about to do now is that just lean it forward and you're just going to single crochet. So we have to continue to grow the circle bigger than what we normally had. So we're going to put 2 double crochets into the first one. Sorry, 2 single crochets in the first one, sorry. Okay, so 2 single crochets in. It's harder for me because of the camera angle for this, but it's 2 single crochets, and then what we want to do is that we want to do 2 single crochets, or 1 single crochet into 2 into 2 stitches. Okay, sorry about that. Oh my god. So bear with me, folks. I am gonna be okay. So we're going to put 2 single crochets into 1 and then 1 single crochet into 2. 1 and 2. And the reason why we're doing it like this is that this is maintaining the circle and allowing the circle to grow even bigger. So this is why we're doing that. So it's not just 1 in each. So the secret is then is 2 single crochets into 1, and then the next 2 are by themselves single crochets, and then 2 into the next, and continue to do that all the way around. And I think I might I think I need a volume. So I'll be right back. Let me get that done. When you get all the way back around, you have 2 into 1 and then 1 and 1 by itself. You're just going to slip stitch to the beginning. Okay, so just slip stitch to bring it to a conclusion. These are going to flop over anyway, so this is just where we are right now. And now we're ready for our final layer. Okay, this is the orange that you see over here, and so this time these orange ones are slightly bigger. Okay, not by much, only by 1 stitch or 1 chain. So we're going to simply just chain up 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then coming back down the back part of it again, we're going to single crochet ourselves all the way back to the beginning. And we're going to do exactly what we already know how to do. It's just the only difference is that you have 1 extra chain to worry about. So that means that these will be a little bit bigger. And I think I'm going to felt both of these after these are done, just to see the difference of whether my orange with the kind of yellow tinge, or the yellow green tinge, would be really good, or it should just all be one solid color. You know, it's creativity, you can do whatever you want. So I'm just coming all the way back down, and then all I want to do is that I want to make sure that I come in, and this time when we go to slip stitch, we're not going onto the front or back loops, we're doing both. So we're just doing a stitch, going in, and just slip stitch. So do that. So chain 6 and then single crochet yourself back down, and then slip stitch to the next one, and then chain 6 and do it all over again. And do it all over again. And that's how you complete this round, and I'll meet you back up in just a moment. Okay, when you get all the way to the end, I'm on my last little piece here. I'm just going to slip stitch it back down here, and then I'm just going to fasten off. Now this is completely done. This is the hardest part of this whole tutorial at this point, and this is as hard as it's going to get, really. And we want to make sure that when we do the felting process, that we don't leave any of these extra long tails on. We want to make sure that we're going to deal with these tails, either sew them into position or just get them in a way that they're going to wrap around each other. What you will find is if you leave tails on, because I've done it by accident with a few things, is that this yarn will completely open up, and then it will start grabbing onto other things within your project, and then all of a sudden when you go bring it out of the felting area, is that this yarn here will be like interlocked in maybe other stuff like this, and it will be completely in there that you cannot get it out without damaging your project. Okay, for the next part of this tutorial, we're going to create the centerpiece that sits on the inside of this flower. Very easy to follow along, and yeah, so we're going to do that, and then eventually we're going to come back and do the back portion of it as well, and this is really quite amazing. So let's begin to do that next. Okay, using the same size hook of 8mm size L, we want to begin. I'm using like a burgundy here. I don't have brown in stock, and you know what? This is about being creative anyway. It's about changing colors when you can. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to chain 2. So 1 and 2, and let's put 6 single crochets into the beginning chain, just like how we started the sunflower. Okay, so 6 in. So this is 2. We have 3. And 4, 5, and 6, and we want to join it to the beginning of the top, okay, to formulate that circle. Okay, so we come all the way around just like so, and off camera I'm going to trim off this loose end right now. To begin this next round, we're going to just move to the first stitch. We're going to chain up 1 first, and then we go to the first stitch, and we're going to put 2 single crochets into every stitch going all the way around, and then we're going to slip stitch to conclude the circle. So you're going to notice that the big gapping spaces that are happening again during the felting process. This will completely close in on itself, and it will not be noticeable. I know it's hard to believe, but if you've never felted before, it's really an interesting process in order to work yourself through. It's actually, I find it quite addictive just to see how much it does transform right before your eyes, and you're just continuing to put 2 single crochets into each all the way around. And when you get all the way around, just slip stitch to the beginning single crochet to finalize, like so. Let's begin the next round, and this one's kind of unusual. We're going to chain 1, and then we're just going to single crochet in each. This is really unusual, so it's single crochet into each, and the reason why they're doing this for you is that they want you to have somewhat of a bowl shape when it goes into the flower, so the middle of the flower can pop out, in order to do so that if you make this circle so it's completely flat, it won't have that same element to it. So it's kind of a method to the madness, I guess you can say. So we're single crocheting in every single crochet going around. We have one more revolution after this, and that one we're going to follow the rules of a circle. But you can see it's starting to bowl in onto itself, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So we know that we're doing it right at this point. So it's 1 single crochet into each. This one, last one's a bit tight, and of course it's an extra big hook. Where there's a will, there's a way. And then all we're just going to do is just slip stitch it to the beginning of where we started, like so. So let's begin your last revolution. So this is your last revolution. We're just going to chain up 1, and then the first is going to have 2 single crochets, and then the next one is by itself, so single crochet by itself. The next one is going to have 2, and 1, and this one has 2, and 1, and then this one has 2, and 1, and then we have 2, and 1. Kind of looking at it here. I don't have a stitch marker in a place to tell me where it is, so I have to really kind of look for it. Okay, that was 2, and then 1, 2, and now I'm back. So the last one in for 1, and then I want to slip stitch to the beginning like so, and then I want to fasten this off, and the same thing that I've just mentioned in the last part. We want to make sure that this tail is completely tucked in, it's well hidden in, so that when we go to do that, it's not going to get tangled and basically felt into this project. So now that we have the sunflower done, and now we have the front piece that will go into the middle here, and again you have to put trust in it because you are going to felt it. We are now going to do the leaves that are peekabooing behind the edges, and that's all these are. These leaves do not take much time. I would do extra. I'm going to do a total of 6 so that I have extra to play with, because if I want to put layering over top of each other, or I want to do something fancy, I have the option if I've done it all at the same time. So technically in the pattern you only require 2. but I would recommend you do more. Again, using the same size hook, a size L, 8mm. Let's grab on our green yarn. Remember, this is 100% wool so that it can felt. Now the leaves I thought were really intimidating when I first started, but realizing how simple they are. So just follow along. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And just what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet 8 times into the beginning chain. This is going to create a semicircle. Okay, so I'm going to go 1 and keep going. And 2. And 3. That's 4. That's 5. 6, 7, and 8. So we only have one more row to go. So you're already halfway down. So there's the first part. That's why I'm saying it doesn't take very much time to do these. Turn your work, and now we're going to chain 2. 1 and 2, and we're going to half double crochet into the same that we just joined up with, or that we just chained up from. So half double crochet into that same spot. It's important because I'll tell you on the other side. Now we're going to half double crochet into the first one like this. Now the next 2 are going to be double crochet, so we're making a point. So next 2 are 1 double crochet each. Okay, so you got 2 halves in here, 2 doubles. Now we're on the middle point. Okay, so the middle point we're going to put 3 double crochets in first, just like so. So you got 3 in, but we're not done. We want to do a picot. So to do a picot, we chain 3. 1, 2, and 3, and coming into the beginning chain that we started with, just insert in, pull through and through. So it's slip stitching. And then we come back down and we add 2 more double crochets into the same stitch. So this picot is at the halfway point, if you really think about it from that perspective. So you have a total of 5 stitches. The picot is over top of the third, like this, and that's what's going to give it the point. Now we're going to just repeat exactly what we did over here. So the next 2 are 1 double crochet each. Okay, and then the next one is a half double. Okay, and then the final one is this is in the chain, just like you would be with normal crochet, is a half double. But instead of just finishing off in here so you end up with a weird edge, you chain 2 first, 1 and 2, and we slip stitch to this chain here. And what that does is it pulls it, you probably just seen it, it just pulled it into a nice semicircle like there, and that's what gives it a really nice finish. So then you just have to fasten off and then weave in your ends, and then you're good to go. And for the pattern you only need 2, but I'd recommend you do more. It's nicer to have more to play with, just in case you decide to change your mind and you don't have to run the wash machine one more time. Okay, so in my hand is the front component that goes in top of the front of the flower, like so. So now we're about to do the back. So the front and the back one of these are different from each other. That's why they're not saying make 2 of this. So it's slightly different, so that the back one is slightly bigger so that it can cover more of the circumference all the way around. It provides extra stability to it. So to begin, we are going to create a slip knot, and again using the size L 8mm crochet hook, we're going to create the slip knot, which we just did, and then we want to chain 2. 1 and 2, and then just simply come into the very beginning chain and put in 6 single crochets. So it was 1, 2, and it's 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we want to join it to the beginning, just to go all the way around. And then I'm going to trim off this string in just a moment off camera. Okay, round 2 is really simple. We're just going to start off in the beginning one, just immediately chain 1, just start, and then 2 single crochets into each one of these going all the way around. I just went into a back loop. I want to make sure I get into both of these stitches because the yarn and the hook are not complementing each other, so that we have the added space for felting. It sometimes is a little difficult. You just have to have a little bit of patience, but it does pay off in the end. I've been wanting to do this tutorial for a very long time. I actually think the woman on the model is very pretty, and I've been admiring this on her lapel for years, and I just decided today I'm going to pull out the yarn and actually do it. So stop wishing and start doing. So that is a true story. So 2 single crochets are going into each of the stitches all the way around. And again, this is just providing extra backing stability for your flower. And once we get all the way around, we want to slip stitch to the top of the beginning like this. So you can actually kind of see that you've gone all the way around, slip stitch, and then that concludes that round. So let's begin our next round. This time we're going to chain up 1, and then we're going to put 2 single crochets into the first one, and then the next one is 1 single crochet by itself. Okay, so it's going to be 2 and 1 and 2. It's like an aerobic workout, and 1. Okay, we have 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. So we're ending on the 1. We should be ending on the 1, and then we're just going to slip stitch to finish that round. So we have 1 more round to go, and that's it. Okay, this is your final revolution. Okay, we're just going to chain 1, and then we're going to put in 2 single crochets into the first one, and then the next 2 single crochets are going to be by themselves. 1 and 1, so that we have 2 and then 1 and 1 and 2 and 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 then we're just going to finish off, and the last 2 will be 1s by themselves, and that concludes off making the back of there. Like you see. So fasten this off, tie in your loose ends really nicely, and get them all nice and trimmed up, because we're ready to do the felting. So now it's time and ready for the felting process. We're going to do all of our leaves and our centerpieces, just like you see here. You can see there is a slight difference, so you have to remember that. So when we come back, I'm going to have this all felted up. Now here's some tips. Now to felt, you need absolutely the hottest water that you can possibly get out of your water heater. Now for me, my washing machine is the furthest away from the house, so I have to run the water a little bit before the hot water comes to the other side of the house. It's like when we're running the shower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sneak upstairs, run the bath so that it gets hot water, and then I know that the water basically right below is actually going to be hot when it starts the washing. You don't want to start your wash machine and it's going to be morely like cool to warm water. You want hot, hot, hot. That's the secret of it. We're going to be placing a few of these into pillowcases so that they don't actually attach to each other, and so especially with this here, you don't want this accidentally coming into contact and then accidentally felting into it. These fibers all like blow apart and then they come back all in, and if this is there, it's going to get trapped in position, guaranteed. So I'm going to put all my leaves together. I'm going to put my centers together, and then I'm going to separate my pieces here so that I can actually have these felting properly. So when I come back, I'll show you what it looks like at that point. Okay, so to keep this tutorial real, I have not opened this bag yet, but I put it through the wash. I have a front loader, and I just did it, not the whole wash. I only did one portion of it, and then the first spin. Oh, so this is what's interesting. So as I mentioned to you, you got to watch exactly. Oh my God, that looks fabulous. That is cool. Isn't that hard to believe it's the same thing? So now what we want to do is that we want to start shaping and pulling it. It's still damp because it's still in the bag. So I actually did pull out the other one just to make sure. But there's what the other one looks like. Oh, that's the actual one that we were working on earlier. And amazing. So let's open the other bag. So here's what I have. These are the other pieces here. And so these are the leaves. So now it's up to us to shape them. These are fabulous. Oh my Lord, I love these. Sorry, I'm a huge fan of felting. So now they're still damp, so now you have to shape them and let them dry. And see how it's all balled up? If I let it dry, it's going to stay balled up. So you want to make sure you open and shape first. So this is not one of those things where you throw it into the wash and then you go out for lunch. You want to make sure that you are monitoring this. Now I tried to hand felt these in the sink with a martini shaker. They didn't turn out as well as this. The wash machine does a far better job of this. Okay, these are the centers. Again, so this one I can tell is the front. It's got that bowl shape to it, or maybe this one is. No, this one is the back. So this one is more of a round shape. Aren't these fabulous? Oh, love it. Nice. Wow, this is so cool. Fabulous day today. I might just leave it like this. It naturally wants to turn that way. And you can see that this is a lot of fun. And so now I want to position these, let them air dry. Now what it does suggest is that you get a tinfoil ball or some kind of ball and put these over top, and then what's going to happen is that you just push these down and then they'll naturally want to form up and go towards you. But these are absolutely amazing. Love this. Well, welcome back to day 2. In day 2 I still have to assemble my flowers. So this is the one that we worked on earlier. I have felted it and now it's ready for the final process, and this is the one I did as a practice sample before doing this tutorial. I like this one much better. I like how there's 2 different colors, and you can see this is what it looks like. See how the felting just overtakes everything and it's just like one solid unit? It's fabulous. So another thing, I told you that, you know, I would suggest you doing more than 2 leaves as it says. Totally. I would totally, because you have options now to be able to use more leaves. So the assembly process is very, very simple. You're just going to put this is still a little damp, so you can see it's a little bit wobbly. It will stiffen up as it gets dry. So we have this unit here, and this was the front. You can see that it kind of has a cupping to it, and what we want to do is that we want to put it into the center like so, and then the back unit is this one here. And this is going to cover the back. Now I was thinking to myself, why would you do the back? And so the back adds more stability, but it also raises the flowers up. So if it's sitting on a surface, that these flowers, instead of sitting flat down on it, they can actually have a little bit of texture to it. So what we want to do is that I want to assemble the first unit, and you're going to need a little bit of fiber fill. Just a very little, because what we're going to do is that when we put it in, we're going to seal it down, and this will make sure that this always stays puffy. So let's begin, and what I have here is a felting needle. Now I know it's not in the best shape, but this is what it looks like, and it has a flat edge. And what it is with felting is that once it felts, is that some conventional needles, especially like plastic, are very, very difficult to get through. Because it's flat, what it does is it forces its way through the fibers really easily, like butter. So if it was a conventional one, it'd be a lot harder, because instead of trying to push and break its way through, this is just separating the felting so you can get it through. So I'm going to put this down, and I have the same yarn color, and I want to just come onto the outside edge like so. Now I put in a slip knot that is farther away from the edge, and so what I'm going to use this is that at the end I'm gonna just put it back onto the needle and then just drag it through so that I can really hide in the edge. Okay, so hiding those loose ends at the end. So I'm just gonna get it secured in a position. So as I said, I'm gonna put this on a needle and eventually hide it in. So I just want to put it on top of the project like this, and just simply poke my way through. And hopefully when I poke my way through, that it comes to a right point. Okay, and it happens to do that, so that's perfect. So what I want to do is grab the other piece, and I'm not ready for that fiber fill yet, but I want to make sure that the indentation is facing down so that I can put the fiber fill inside, and I just simply want to come up through, just capturing the edge like so. Okay, and then just pull everything through like this. And then just simply don't, you know, you don't want this to be that seam, so don't be too generous on leaving too much string on the top surface, and then just come back down in. So just going back down in and to the other side. Now this is a lot of fiber to be going through, so you just want to be gentle that you're not going to stick that needle through your hand. I would probably not recommend a child using this kind of hook or this kind of needle. So just pull it through, and then just continue to sew everything together into position. So once you get more than halfway around, stick the fiber fill in the interior of this centerpiece that's on the inside, and therefore it'll hold it in position permanently as you're finishing it off. So this is how you do a flower, and what I would recommend too is that these are peekaboo leaves. So once you get to a certain point, and once you get this on, you're just going to attach it so it's on the outside. So you're just going to come into the outside like so, and therefore they'll just be peekabooing. And because I did more than two, I'm probably going to do a few more than two as well. And that's how you do the felted sunflower pin, and I would probably recommend using this for a wreath. But that's just my opinion. So the creativity is up to you. Enjoy, and on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd, have a fabulous, fabulous day.